Spring 2018, gripped with anxiety, depression, panic attacks. I sat in the car on the second floor of the garage, pleading with my wife, Maggie, to let me quit my job. You know, I just could not go into work another day. I had just started a new job at George Mason University as an industry advisor. And in this role, I worked with employers looking to hire Mason students, but I also worked with students on their resume, their cover letter, their professional development. But just in that moment, I was not feeling confident at all. I remember sitting in that garage, hands sweating, palms sweating, head pounding, room spinning, thinking, I can't go into work one more day. I have to quit. I have to get out of here. I was thinking, I maybe don't even belong in higher ed. I don't belong in career services. I maybe don't even belong in the world of work. I'm not good at this job. I don't know, maybe it was the combination of the financial strain of providing for 2 kids now. Our son, Miles, had just been born that February to go along with our 3-year-old. So, you know, we're not getting any sleep, so that might add to that. Or maybe it was the years of negative feedback that I received from past supervisors telling me I wasn't quite good enough, and that just compounded to that time. But at that moment, it was the perfect storm, and anxiety, depression was gripping, it was paralyzing. And I really, really just wanted to go home. I parked in the farthest place in that parking lot because if I wanted to just disappear and go home, no one would even notice I came in that day. So I would park really far on purpose so that I could disappear. But then, you know, on that phone, in the midst of that storm, my wife said something to me that's really stuck with me. For some time. She said, don't quit. Just go in for one day. That's all I'm asking. We can talk about it when we get home, but just go to work for one day. So I went to work that one day, and it wasn't a good day. It was still full of anxiety, full of a hidden battle that no one else at work saw, but I went in for that one day. And I kept on going in one day after anxiety-filled day, again and again and again. And I don't know if it was the support of an amazing supervisor or the support of my family and friends or my fraternity brothers, or it was the support of the students that started to meet during that first spring semester. But it got a little bit better. And then something unexpected happened. I became the unofficial mayor of Mason. Now I say official, I had 2 buttons because I spelled official wrong on this one, so I'm wearing the one that I spelled correctly. But I started to develop this persona because during those times where I doubted myself, as I came out of that, people started to think of me as someone that belonged. They would say things like, Philip, it's like you know everybody here. It's like you're the mayor. Or like you talk to everybody. Everyone seems to get to know you. And I thought about that, and I used to brush it off as a joke and think, oh, that's nothing. You know, they're just trying to be nice to me. But then the more I realized that what I really enjoyed and what got me out of that dark place was my connection with people. You know, I was one of those people that could talk to anybody. I actually, when I was in school growing up, the teachers would always say I did a great job, he's smart, but he just talks too much. He talks everywhere. He talks to all the other students. I try to move him around, but no matter where I put him in the classroom, he talks to his neighbor. And I realized in that moment that talking to people and connecting with people was what made me special. It was my gift. It was my superpower. It's the one thing I can do each day. So those days where I go in one day at a time, I could just do that, connect with people. So I did what any reasonable person does when they have an unofficial title that they completely made up for themselves. I went to my friend ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to write me a job description for a small town mayor in combination with the role that I had at George Mason. And I got a job description that had a few bullet points. Advocate. A mayor advocates for his community. Build relationships with new people, whether it's faculty and staff, students, and alumni. Represent. A mayor represents a town. Well, in this role, I represent George Mason University and public spaces. Connect people to each other that don't know each other, and promote a space of inclusion, belonging, support. And I was, well, I can do that. I definitely can do that one day at a time. So no matter what, this persona is me. I am the unofficial mayor of Mason. So I thought to myself, where in this part of advocacy or this title do I feel the most purpose? I now have a persona, I have a person that I want to be, but now I need that purpose. And I realized that my purpose at George Mason was the advocacy. So now that I got that, the advocacy, I want to think about who am I actually advocating for? And I'm advocating for the students. Every time I instilled or built up the confidence in the students that I worked with, I was talking to that 2018 version of myself. When I poured into them, I was pouring into me. And so there was my mission. There was my calling. Working at George Mason became more than a job. It became my identity. It became my purpose, my mission, something that made me more than I was. It also, in this form of advocacy, made me feel like I was a leader. I didn't have to wait for someone to give me the role of leadership to empower others, because I can do that myself unofficially, day in and day out, each day. And so the years went on. I mentored many students. I gave them encouragement, confidence. I wrote them recommendations for their first job out in the real world, or helped them instill confidence to be the best versions of themselves. And over time, I realized that by doing this, I'm still, once again, talking to that Philip Wilkerson one day at a time. Eventually, working with students, I started to build lifelong relationships. Those one-off appointments with students turned to lifelong mentorship, where instead of being asked, hey, how do I put this bullet on my resume or write this cover letter, I'm getting things that I couldn't talk to myself about. How do I deal with the supervisor at my first job that doesn't really understand me? Or, I want to get married. How do I pick someone to get married to? And by doing that, it just reinforced my purpose. I had a purpose now. I had a persona, but it doesn't come without its battles. Even the mayor gets overwhelmed, right? Even the mayor makes mistakes. Even the mayor has bad days. So I would go back to myself and say, well, at least in this space right right now, this Philip Wilkerson is not the same Philip Wilkerson that was in that car in 2018. This Philip Wilkerson is more resilient. This Philip Wilkerson will practice what he preaches. When I tell students to be resilient and confident, I'm going to walk it myself. With this Philip Wilkerson, when he is a leader and telling others to be leaders, he's going to step into it. So now, this unofficial role has done three things. It's given me a persona to build my confidence. It's given me a purpose at work. And it's instilled resiliency to go through on days, one day at a time, good, bad, and ugly. This TEDx, for example, I think my wife can tell you, my friends can tell you, I've been trying to do this TEDx for years. I've applied multiple places. I've been told, not quite yet, maybe you need to work on your speech. It's also one of the reasons why I joined Toastmasters and became a better speaker, because if you're a mayor, you got to talk to people. And so this role persona instilled in me the resiliency to even take rejection right now. And what I tell you, the lesson for all of you right now, is that rejection, failure, all those things are going to happen. That is par for the course. But as long as you have a vision of the best version of yourself that you want to be, you shrug it off as a challenge. You say, okay, one rejection, one door closed is not all doors closed. And so I will continue on this pursuit. So the fact that I'm here today with all of you is a testament to resilience, that you can do it too. Oops. That was my last slide. Well, so there was a last slide there that would say, how does this apply to me, Philip? I talked a lot about myself, but I want to talk to you all here in the audience and those that are watching this later, is that you do not need to wait and let the world dictate who you want to be. You have the ability to dictate that for yourself. As I said, there was no formal election. I didn't get granted this title. I took agency on my own. And I wanted to be the best version of myself that I can be, for myself, but also for my family and friends, and for the community that I felt that I belonged at, and for the students. So I want to ask you these few questions. Who do you want to be in the future? What persona do you need to be that best version of yourself? Whose help do you need along the way? Inversely, who are you going to help along the way? And lastly, what do you need in the future to be resilient and persevering? As it was stated earlier, I'm a member of the oldest and coolest fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And during a very difficult membership process, we used poems to keep us resilient. And there's one poem that I think is very applicable to this, that I want to share the last stanza with you. And it's called Don't Quit. And the poem goes like this in the last stanza, as I'm saying. Success is failure turned inside out. The silver tints the cloud of doubt. And you may not know how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things get worse that you must not quit. Don't quit on the future version of yourself. Be the person that you know you can be. Thank you.